What I'm now going to want to do is start solving these guys as much as possible. Because once I do that, to start to solve these, I'm only going to be doing 180-degree turns, which is really going to be easier to deal with the bottom layer here. So I'm going to put in the cross in this second to last layer. I've got the blues in line, I've got the oranges in line. So now I just need to put a green in line. I'm going to borrow from the layer just above that. Here's a green. So what I'm going to do is I want to move the green down so it's right next to the orange. So I move it down like so, move it back down here, place it back. 2 oranges, 2 greens, 2 reds, 2 blues. So I got a nice cross going over here. The next step is I'm going to put in these corner pieces. Now these corner pieces I'm going to borrow from the layer over here. This is already in place, so I need the blue and the orange, and here's a blue and an orange. The right configuration would be its opposite, right? Because then I can swap it in there. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R, and there it is here. Now don't panic about what's going on up here. We don't care, and you can even see it's symmetric. I'm just going to follow suit. Have faith in the process. Anyway, here's an orange and a green. We need to find that. Orange and a green. Here it is here. And it's the right one, where it's going to get flipped. Okay, so there it is here. Anything else? Yeah, green and red. Okay, here's a green and red, but it's not the right one. This is not going to flip over the right way. This is going to flip like that. So we have to use this one. So just be sure of that, because it'll be very frustrating if you flip the wrong one and you see that it's inverted. So there it is here. And so we have this layer here solved. Don't worry about this stuff, as messy as that looks. So now with this second layer, we have all the components in. They just need to be moved around by corner switches and everything. Here's our sandwich formation, which means it's going to go just to the left, and then we're going to do another corner swap to get it into place there. 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. And then we're going to move the whole thing because we're just dealing with these two. And same thing, 2R, UI, 2R, U, 2R. That saves this and puts these in sandwich formation with one that's already solved. So now it's just a question of moving these middles. So I'm going to swap this middle with this middle, doing exactly the same thing. And note we still have symmetry on what's going on up here. So by moving this, again this will be our U's. So 2R, U, 2R, U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. Nicely swapped. So we'll put these in, and now we just do we do an opposite swap, which is going to be the 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U, 2R, 2U. So these middle layers are actually solved, and we still have our cross, which is all I'm worried about. Picking it up from after completing this, we're going to put the corners in. So here's a green and orange. Here's a orange and green over here, so this will fit very nicely down here. Just like we did before. There it is over here. Now by doing that, I created parity on this side, which just means this has to be maintained in a forward state. And whatever else I put in, I have to move from this angle here. So here's a red and green. Let's move this over to here. So I've got the green and red, and move this into place. And you'll find that as I'm doing this, I'm starting to restore these top layers more and more. So here's another one here. I fixed the parity, so I don't have to worry about that. I can just move this over and move this orange and blue in the orange and blue spot. And there we go. But I've created parity here, so I have to be sure to hold this over here. Now I solve the top part in exactly the same way. I need a sandwich formation. I don't have one, so I'm going to have to create one. So I'm going to move this to here and see what happens. Okay, so 2R, U, 2R, UI, 2R. And now instead of moving the whole thing, just the top moves to a UI and the bottom moves to a U, and then to R, UI, to R, U, to R. The parity didn't change here. This is okay. And now I see if I created a sandwich, I did over here. So this moves off to the side. And now we do the same thing. Move, move. Okay, and then we'll move this back. From here, I'm just gonna do middle swaps. So I'll solve the red here. Same thing. And bang. So this is okay. Now look what I'm doing here. This is starting to look more familiar. Put this in. Now I need to just do a middle swap from here to here. See the symmetry down here in the meantime. So an adjacent or an opposite middle swap. 2R, 2, 2R, 2, 2R, 1, 2. Okay. So that's pretty good. Got the top and the bottom. Now I've got parity here, notice. To deal with this parity is exactly the same thing that we've seen from a variety of different cubes and cuboids. And because this is 2 instead of 1 that we've seen in the 3x4x5, we hold this so that it's in front of us, and these two parity areas are to the side, right and the left. And when we do the URF parity, which basically means we do U. What I mean by U is really the UU, top and the bottom. So, and it's a 2. So 2 UU, 2R, 2F. Then we do 2 UU, 2U, just the top. Then 2F, 2R, 2U, and the parity is fixed. Now, if this were not so crazy, we'd be done. But we've got this we have to deal with. Now the whole thing that I just did was just the setup so that we can easily solve this. Because what I'm going to do now is just focus on the top and focus on the bottom. And when I do that, I'm just going to be doing 180-degree turns, which means the only messing up that I'm going to be doing of these sides are going to be of the type that I can fix by doing just parity solutions. Now there's no real algorithm to this, it's really just a matter of working through it and strategies. So what I want to do is, obviously I need to get an outer orange to be able to meet these guys here. So I'm just going to move this up here, and I'm going to move this across. So it put these into place, and I can do the same thing here, move this across. This is the easiest of configurations, but sometimes you have to do some finagling and moving it around. Don't be nervous if you do that. You can do whatever you want. You're not going to mess this up too much. Then we'll just put this back in. So this is good, and oh my Lord, look what we did here. It was so hopeful, but not to worry. We'll just kind of move these back close to our crosses. Okay. All right. So here's what we have, and this is ultimately what you're going to end up with. Something where you've got a bunch of corner sets that are out of line. So what am I going to do about this? Well, I already have a strategy to move these around, which is parity fixes. So if I were to apply that, say, to here, this is going to move here so that this red and this green is going to come here, and this will be solved. And this is going to move over here to where you're going to have an orange here and the blue here. Well, the blue, and then that's going to be set up to have just a parity over here. So I'm just going to move these over to create that final parity situation. So solve it the same way here. 2U, 2R, 2F, 2UU, 2U, 2F, 2R, 2U. Okay, notice, didn't touch these, but I just put this into a very familiar parity situation, which we can very easily fix. Put this in front of us, and we have 2U, 2R, 2F, 2UU, U, 2F, R, U, and my goodness, as promised, as guaranteed, I have delivered onto you the solution of this very interesting variation of the theme of crazy and cuboid. Like I say, the strategy is the same. It may get a little complicated in terms of solving this, but this is a way to not have to worry about this variable bandaging that happens. Kind of took that out of the picture. So, Hope that helps.